Hello, my name is Michael Dym. I'm the auctioneer here at Vallots Auctioneers in Providence, Rhode Island. You can find us online at Vallots, VALLOTS.com. In this episode, we're going to be giving away more art forger secrets in the hopes that when you're out there looking at work, considering work, that you're able to more easily authenticate work and understand and detect forgeries when you encounter them. In today's episode, we're going to be using this work by Andy Warhol. It purports to be Birmingham Race Riots. This is a print from 1964. It was done in an edition of 500. It's very early in Warhol's body of print work. In fact, it's the third print that he made. And in this case, it was an edition of 500. It was unsigned. It was part of a larger portfolio of prints. The first thing we do when we're considering a print, when we're considering whether a print is authentic or a forgery, we're taking a look at the authoritative source on the artist's work. And in the catalog raisonné on Warhol's print work, we see the entry here. It's the third entry in the catalog raisonné, and it gives us a good detailed description of what we should expect when we're looking at an authentic work. I want to point out that forgers, and this is a really good tip, forgers don't typically bother with lower value artists. If the artist's work typically commands a few $100s on the secondary or auction market, you don't generally find forgers. You don't generally have to be concerned about authenticity. It's just not going to make economic sense for a forger to forge a work that's only going to command a few $100s. In the case of Warhol and in the case of this print commands between $4,000 and $6,000 at auction. And so a forger would be very motivated to print up 10, 15, 20 of these or more and try to sell them for a steep discount, play naive about what it is. This is kind of the con, right? And so if you were a collector and you were presented with this print and offered this print, and when you look online at other examples of this print being sold at auction, for example, you understand that it could be in the range of $4,000 to $6,000. You might get very excited if somebody offered it to you for $2,000. How do we know this is a forgery? And how did the forger create this forgery? The first thing we look at is we take a look at the catalog raisonné. And in the catalog raisonné, what we see is that the work itself is 20 by 24 inches. Size, when it comes to print work, can be very challenging for a forger to fake. Reason being is they have to come up with a convincing sheet of paper, and in this case multiple sheets of paper if they want to make more than one, and I assume because they cut a screen print that was the forger's intention. We look at the size. We want to make sure that the size is correct, and in this case it's not. And the first thing we notice is the sheet is much larger. It's 29 inches. And the second thing we notice is that there's a margin, but there's no margin shown on the original print. The next thing that we look at is we see, and I should say that the reason the print and the sheet of paper don't match up is, again, it was probably the forger couldn't find a sheet that matched the size of the print or the silk screen that they created. The next thing we look at is the paper, and in this case we see that the paper is Strathmore. We can see that the paper is Strathmore because we can see the Strathmore mark, they're a paper maker, on the back of the print. But there's no indication in the catalog raisonné of Warhol having used Strathmore paper for this print. This print was printed by Ives Selman. Ives Selman was in Connecticut. They did the whole portfolio. Ives Selman, the printer, has a blind stamp. The blind stamp is an embossed mark that should be right here, and it's not. It's missing. So we have a lot of indications that this is not correct, that it doesn't add up. And how did they make it? Well, what the forger did is they took the image and they recreated a silkscreen. Much like Warhol himself took this famous photograph and from it created a silkscreen. The forger in this case, by doing that, it lost a lot of detail. You can particularly see it here. This area right here, these marks, have lost a lot of detail. They've lost a lot of detail because the work itself was photographed and then turned into a silkscreen and reprinted. And whenever you do that, for example, when you do that on a copy machine, each successive copy degrades, right? The quality. If you copy a copy, you're going to get less and less clarity, and you can see that in this image. Finally, this particular piece, forgery, came in through an estate. It was a very large collection, and when we took it out of the frame, it came framed. We flipped it over, and on the back here you can see down here the Warhol Estates cancellation mark indicating that the work is a forgery. And so our suspicions were confirmed. Thank you for watching. In our next episode, we'll be giving away more art forger secrets. And you can find us online at Vallots, VALLOTS.com.